Brooklyn, Brooklyn, take me in. Are you aware of the shape I'm in? My hands they shake, my head it spins. Ah, Brooklyn, Brooklyn, take me in.
The Gowanus Canal lies in an urbanized wetland and drains the westernmost watershed in Long Island. Canalized in the mid-19th century for industrial and warehouse development, it became one of the most polluted sites in the nation and a paradigm for urban degradation.
The Gowanus Canal is very polluted from historic uses along the site. So there were oil and gas companies that manufactured and energy products, and there were paint companies that were along the edge of the canal, and they polluted the groundwater, and they polluted the sediment underneath the water in the canal and in some of the neighboring areas. That pollution exists, and it's under the soil, or it's in the landscape. At the same time, there are combined sewer outlets that feed into the canal, and New York City is one of 772 cities in this country that have combined sewer systems.
The main point of focus for our organization is stormwater management, and the reason for that is that in New York City we have what's called a combined sewer system, meaning that our sewage and our stormwater are conveyed in the same pipes. Because we have a combined sewer system, our stormwater and our sewage fall downhill, and they move slowly to our sewage treatment plants, which during dry weather, they have no problem handling, digesting, and treating our sewage. But when it rains, if you can imagine how built up New York City is, all of the what we call impermeable surface areas, all of the materials like asphalt streets, concrete sidewalks, rooftops, anywhere that water lands on an impervious surface where it can't be absorbed, it just runs straight to the nearest drain into the sewer system. And with a watershed like the Gowanus Canals, which is 1,800 acres, if you can imagine a quarter inch of rainfall landing on that surface, all the impermeable surfaces, that very quickly translates into millions of gallons of water. And our sewage treatment plants just can't hold it. They can't process it because that's just such a huge volume, and it costs so much money to build these giant holding tanks. So we have an emergency overflow system, which allows the mixed sewage and stormwater to dump into the Gowanus Canal. And every year, on average, 300 million gallons of combined sewage and stormwater are dumped into the Gowanus Canal. So as you can imagine, that is one of the biggest environmental problems that we're facing, and that's why our organization is focused primarily on stormwater management.
And then I think there are a number of other health issues as well. You know, people do like to fish in the canal, and people, ride canoes along the canal. Cleaning it up is pretty important if you don't want to have any adverse health effects.
I know for a fact that it has tremendous impact on people's health. In fact, a couple of summers ago, we went away for the summer and we rented our apartment to a young couple who had a little boy with brain cancer. And they lived on the Gowanus Canal, and they were told by the oncologist that they had to leave immediately, like that day. Once he was diagnosed with cancer, they said they have to get out of the house immediately, because while he was on chemotherapy, all the pollution would have just been absolutely catastrophic for him. So they were homeless, like they were staying with friends, they had nowhere to live. And
being aware that you shouldn't have your children go down and put their feet in the water, because there is a lot of bad things in the water and in the soil. So one of the things that I think the community should be very aware of is that if you have a garden in your backyard in the Gowanus area, the plants in that garden are potentially pulling those toxins into the fruit that you might eat. And that's dangerous, right? Because there's lead, there's cadmium, there's nickel, there are PCBs, there are volatile organic compounds, and all of these things are are bad for you.
It worries me that the chemicals are in the Gowanus Canal because people live around here.
And the watershed basically includes the neighborhoods of Park Slope, Carroll Gardens, Gowanus, some of Sunset Park, a bit of Red Hook, but all the areas that are basically between Prospect Park, Atlantic Avenue, and Court Street.
No tiles from people's houses, and we were finding all this plastic and wire, and it was crazy how much garbage we found. And it just made me think, if this is just one little section, what about the whole world? What about the ocean?
If we're environmentally conscious right now, then it'll make it easier on ourselves, so we don't have to do this in the future when we're old and crippled. Or maybe just old.
Oh, Brooklyn, Brooklyn, take me in. Are you aware of the shape I'm in? My hands, they shake, my head, it spins. Oh, Brooklyn, Brooklyn, take me in.